Hi guys, so this is to show you how I edit my photos after a photo shoot or after I take photos. So these are the files from the shoot I did with the Fujifilm X-T30. So I'll edit one of them for you guys to see how I go about it after I do a shoot. I'm currently using Capture One Pro 12, the Fujifilm version. So you have to make sure that you get the Fujifilm version, especially if you're shooting with Fujifilm, because they process the file better. This is the raw photo and this is the after I've done all my editing and retouching. So let me quickly show you how I did it. So this is the raw photo. Usually I'll just see if the exposure is cool for me. So let's say a little bit of highlights. We bring a little bit of highlight down. Yeah, and one thing I like about Capture One is that the highlight recovery is really good. Like when you recover the highlights, it's focused on the highlights. It doesn't affect the overall picture. So Capture One is really cool. You bring down the highlight a bit, and then you fill up the shadows slightly. Yeah, so after that, this is just all I do in Capture One. I don't really do a lot of work in Capture One. I just simply import the files into Capture One because they can handle Fujifilm files way better, and I like the color profiles too. So I don't really do much over here. So from here, then you just right click and then edit with Photoshop. I'm currently using Photoshop CC 2018. So you make sure it's stiff here, and then everything else is, the resolution is 300, and then the profile is Adobe RGB. Yeah, after that, then you just click on edit variant and it will take you into Photoshop. Yeah, so this is the file in Photoshop. The first thing I do is to crop the photo. I use the 4:5 crop, which is the Instagram crop. So yeah, this is the Instagram 4:5 crop. From there, then I go into camera raw. So when I come to camera raw, I play around with the colors. So you go to HSL adjustment. And what I do over here is that this green color in the photo, I want it to look more interesting because green is the color we see, like it's the natural color, we see it everywhere. So to make the photo more interesting, I usually play around with the colors in the photo. So with the greens, I come to hue, and then I work with the yellows and the greens, and then with the greens I just pull it to the other side, and you see what it does. It makes it more yellowish, and then also pull the yellows to the other side of the slide. Okay, so from there maybe I can just increase the greens and the yellows again. The other thing I do is that I think I want this photo a bit warmer, so you slide it to the warm side. just 5, I think just 5% is good. Let me see, 10%. Okay, let's say 10%. And then let's dehaze the photo and see the effect it will give. Yeah, I think with this, if you dehaze it a lot, you get orange on the person's skin, the orange and yellow. So maybe just let's keep it at 15 and then increase the blacks a bit and give it more contrast. Okay, so from there, the other thing I do is that, you know, after you do all this color grading, it affects the person's eyes and teeth. So what I do is that I whiten the eye and then the teeth, and I have a simple way of doing it. I just use the brush here. What's the name of this brush? Adjustment brush. And then okay, so let me put everything to 0. Yeah, so when I come to adjustment brush, I increase the exposure of the brush to about 50 or 55. Okay, 50. And then I take out the saturation of the brush to also, let's say 50. And then I increase the highlights to, let's say 20. Don't worry, I'm not seeing any effects yet. I will start using the brush so that you see the effects. So I increase the highlight to, let's say 20. And then from there, I zoom in a bit more to the eye. You can see me in the model's eye. So from there, use the brush to just brush over the eyeball. If you feel it's not bright enough, you can increase the exposure and the highlights, but this is cool for me, so I just brush it over the eye to make it whiter and brighter. Okay. It's just to give a pop to the white part of the eye and make it more clean. So do the same thing here. Okay, then let's see her teeth. Okay, just this part of the teeth, you just clean it to make it whiter. Okay, so you zoom out, and this is how it looks. Okay, so from there, then you click OK, back to Photoshop. Yeah, so this is before and after. Sorry, I don't work with layers, so I do everything on one layer. So I'm not a layers kind of guy, so just bear with me. So to show you the before and after, I have to click on step backward to show you the before and the after. Okay, so the next thing left is to clean up the skin, which I use the patch tool and then the healing brush. But now let me start with the patch tool. So with the patch tool, you just cycle the place that you want to clean. and then you drag it to a place that is clean. Yeah, it works the same way as the healing brush. So let me just do that for you to see. You need to bear it in mind that it's not every mark on the model that you have to clean. I just left this because it's not a pimple, it's a birthmark on here, and I don't have to clean it. I'm only cleaning the pimples on her face, not the mark on her that makes her who she is. So you have to note that. Okay, let me see here. This is a patch of sunlight on her skin, so I'm sure maybe I can work on this one too. Still using the patch too, so okay. So after this, then I jump into the skin retouching. Wait, let me just fix this one too. Okay, so I jump into the skin retouching, and with the skin retouching I use the Retouching Academy. This is the version 3, so I actually learned how to use this plugin on YouTube. So on their YouTube channel, on their Retouching Academy YouTube channel. So first click on custom, and then you increase the high pass to, I usually increase it up to 3. Yeah, but basically you increase it to a point where you can see details in the photo. You can see the sharpness of the photo. Yeah, the high pass is the sharpness of the photo, so you increase it to a point where, so let's say it's 0.1, so you increase it to a point where you feel that you see the sharpness of the photo, and then you click OK, and the next layer is the Gaussian Blur. And with that one too, since I set the high pass to 3.0, I usually do half, or not half, I do, let's say if it's 3.0, I set this to 2.5. Like the difference is just 5, so that's how I do it. Like if let's say I set the high pass to 4, I would set the Gaussian Blur to, let's say, 3.5. So I work with that kind of numbers. And also like 2.5 is the point where I see it getting like blur enough for me. So yeah, then you click OK, and the plugin will automatically create the layers for you. And so you click on the correcting tones and you disable the high frequency texture layer, and then you use the mixer brush. You choose the mixer brush. I used to work with the healing brush. You can use the healing brush to work too, but a friend of mine showed me a simpler way by using the mixer brush, which really gives a subtle look. So from here is all about brushing. And also the other thing is that you have to, these are the settings. You set the mixer brush to the wedge is 20%, the load is 20%, mix is 20%, everything is 20%. So you make sure that the brush is set to this numbers, and then we check this ones too, and then from there you start with a brush, just painting on the correcting tones. So I'll just do it for you guys to see. It's just you just brush over it, and using the Wacom tablet makes it really easy because you have so much control on the brush, and it's easy. The Wacom tablet just makes retouching easy. So when you get to a point like this, the Wacom tablet is just the best choice to use because it makes using the brush really easy, gives you proper control over the brush. Okay, so I've used the mixer brush to brush over the photo. This is basically what I use to retouch the photo. I used to use the healing brush, which has its own way of doing it, but I now use the mixer brush. And so now let me put on the high frequency texture. So this is with the high frequency texture on, and this is with it off. Okay, so now I'm going to disable the whole frequency separation folder for you to see the before and after. So this is the before, this is the after. Let me move down a bit so that I see here. This is before, this is after, and this is before. So this is after, this is before. It's just subtly cleaning the image, nothing extreme. Yeah, because you want it to look as natural as possible. At least that's how I want it to look, as natural as possible, but at the same time clean of all the pimples and blemishes on the model's face. Yeah. Okay, so from here the next stage is dodge and bend, and with the dodge and bend I use this option. So you just click on it and it will automatically bring out the layers for you. So you can disable this visual aid, and then you work on the dodge and bend folder, which you use normal brush, but you set the opacity to 9, then you set the flow to 100 and smoothing to 10. But also you can switch on the visual aid. They've already written there that you have to delete that. So after you finish your dodge and bend, you have to delete that folder. But you switch it on so that you use it as a guide. You use it as a guide because dodge and bend works better if you see in black and white. It's basically light and shadow. So when the photo is in black and white, you can see the light and shadow wall, and then you can do a proper dodge and bend. So you use the brush, you set the opacity to 9, the flow is 100%, smoothing is 10%, and then I set it to 9 because I really want it subtle. Some people like their dodge and bend really vivid. I really want it subtle. It's just a punch to the photo. It's just to give a small punch to the light falling on the subject, so you don't have to do it in an extreme way. So you just brush over the light part. Dodge and bend is basically working on the light part and working on the dark part. So the dodge curve is for the bright part or the highlight on the model's face. So I just, anywhere that I see highlights or light, I just work on it. So you work on the bright part on the dodge curve layer with your normal brush. It's just to give more shape to the light falling on the subject, so it's not anything extra. What I also like to do is that I like to highlight the triangles under the model's face, you know, like when light falls on a person's face, there's usually a triangle under the person's eye. In the case of doing a Rembrandt lighting, the light hits one part of the model's face and falls over, and this creates the triangle. So anytime I'm doing my dodge and bend, I like to highlight those parts to make it pop. So you do it really subtle. Okay, so let me switch it up for you to see with and without it. So this is without the dodge, and this is with the dodge. So as you can see, it's just subtle and to give the light more definition on the model's face. Yeah. So let me do a bit more. So from there you move to the bend. The bend is also for the dark parts of the photo. So the shadows, just give you more punch by brushing over the shadows. It's to give more definition of the light and shadow on the model. So let's say in the hair, the shadows in the hair, I just brush over them to give it more strength. So let me show you now, after and before. This is without the dodge and bend, and this is with the dodge and bend. Yeah, so just keep it simple and subtle. It shouldn't be really extreme that it's so visible on the model's face. Just subtle and lightly brush on the person's face. Okay, so after that, then now you can delete the visual aid layer. So this is without the dodge and bend. This is with the dodge and bend. Okay. So without dodge and bend, and then without frequency separation, this is how it looks. Let me zoom into the model's face. So frequency separation, subtle and soft, and then dodge and bend, also subtle and soft. Okay. So from here, I highlight all the layers and then I merge them together as one. This is pretty much all I do, like with my photos when I'm retouching. So I can say with this, I'm done. This is all the retouching I will do on this photo. Just that the next step is me using alien skin exposure. That's where I go to sharpen my photo and also the final look of the photo. So after I've merged the layers, you go to filter, and then if you have alien skin installed, it will appear over here. So I'm currently using the exposure X3. You go there. This software is basically a software that has a bunch of filters, amazing classic filters. So I use it a lot, and I also use it to sharpen my photo. I prefer the sharpening over here compared to in Photoshop. So when I come here, it has a whole lot of presets. There's different presets, and each of them has the look it gives you. So it is up to you as a creative person to know which filter or which mood you like. I tend to choose mostly from the color film vintage. So you basically go through and select each one of them and find out whichever one works for you. Let me see. I think I like this. Let me see. It's all up to you as a creative person to know which works for you. So there's no right way or wrong way. It's purely based on your preference as a creative person. So let me see. I think I prefer this. So this is before and after. And then when it comes to sharpening, I go to focus, and then I increase it to about 15, and then uncheck the sharpen brightness only. And then detail, I increase the clarity a bit, let's say 9 or 10. Okay, let me say 10. Yeah. Then let me see. Usually some of the presets come with their own settings, so it's up to you to maybe take out a particular setting on it that you don't like. Sometimes there'll be grain on the photo which maybe you won't like. Let me see. Yeah, you can add grains. Sometimes they come with the grain already on it, so it's up to you to take it off. Yeah, so I think I'll take it off. And then there's a whole lot, like this software I'm still discovering, so I'm sure one day I'll do a whole video about it. But these are the basic things that I do when I bring my photos here. And after that, I just click apply, and then it will come back into Adobe Photoshop. Yes, so it will come on a layer, and with me I merge the layers to become one file, and then I save it. After saving, it would appear in Capture One. So this is the raw file, and this is the edit that I just did. Let me put the two of them together. So raw file and then the edited, and yeah, from there I can just post it on Instagram. And as you can see, I've already cropped the photo in 4:5. So when I post it on Instagram, it won't crop anything, it will just be as it is. So yeah, this is it. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully in future I would do more of this retouching and editing videos. So thank you. See you in the next one.